Hello and welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. It is September 26, 2024. This is episode 280. Stand-up comedian, actor, improviser, and dreamer. Paul Green coming to you. I am currently en route to Las Vegas, Nevada from Yuma, Arizona. It has been quite a day. So, if this is your first time joining the podcast, welcome. And I am a stand-up comedian and improviser, and I also do a two-person comedy show called the Midlife Crisis Comedy Show with my comedy partner, Josh Novi. And we have been growing that comedy brand and performing more and more in various venues across the country. We were in Iowa about a week ago, and tonight we were in Yuma, Arizona at the historic Yuma Theater, which was a beautiful venue, by the way. And they treated us very well, and we had a pretty decent turnout. And my understanding is we are actually about a month early before the population of Yuma grows by about 100,000 people, they say, because they get a lot of snowbirds. And so we did pretty well, all things considering, for the Midlife Crisis Comedy Show. And the demographic was definitely older. So although it's the Midlife Crisis Comedy Show, most of the audience was far past their midlife. Matter of fact, everybody who we brought on stage. So the Midlife Crisis Comedy Show is a little different than most comedy shows. What we do is we actually bring members from the audience on stage, and we talk to them about their life. And then we improvise a song about them on the spot. And it's really fun. Everybody who we brought on stage tonight, which was three people, three women actually, were all retired. And it seemed like they'd been retired for a little while. Overall, though, the show went really well, and there's already been some discussions about us potentially doing a monthly show there. So that'll be really fun to see if we can make that work. So we did the show, and now I'm heading out to Yuma because tomorrow night I will be performing in the quarterfinals of the World Series of Comedy competition. So on Monday, I was in the preliminary rounds, and I took first place in my show, which was really awesome. And so now I get to go back and compete in the quarterfinals. So really excited about that. And, you know, I'm just sitting here. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, by the way. I've never driven this road before. I've never driven from Yuma to Las Vegas. And it's this, you know, really quiet, out in the middle of nowhere road. And, you know, I just got a little pensive, got a little reflective of just how incredible it is that I get to do these things, get to have these experiences, get to travel, and, you know, the heart and soul of this podcast is to really talk about going for your dreams in life, no matter what your dreams are, no matter what it is that is calling to you, that's exciting to you, that resonates with your heart, with your soul, to just give it the old college try and to go for it. And it just kind of hits me in these random moments where I'm like, my gosh, I was in Vegas on Monday. Yuma on Thursday, back to Vegas on Friday, and then I'll be potentially in Vegas on Saturday if I move on to the next round. If I don't, then, I'll head back to Phoenix. But I'm just incredibly grateful, very humbled, and I'm just loving it. I'm just so grateful that my life has panned out in the way that it has and is panning out in the way that it is. And that this crazy dream to pursue comedy and performing that I really set out to do back in 2015 when I moved to Los Angeles and really tried to go for it, that I'm still able to pursue and grow and improve and try to find more opportunities to perform, to expand. All good things. And that is actually a perfect segue into the book that I'm reading called The Magic of Thinking Big. And today's chapter is Use Goals to Help You Grow. And I got to tell you something. Setting goals has never been my strong suit. Well, I should clarify. I've been pretty decent at setting goals, but accomplishing goals, not my forte. In fact, the whole reason that I'm even doing this podcast was actually a goal of mine, and not really a goal that's like a means to an end. I know a lot of goals is like, I want to hit a certain target. I want to make a certain amount of money or whatever it is. My goal was I want to try to do something on a daily basis that requires me to put myself out there to the world, and again, do it on a daily basis. And one of my biggest struggles as a performer is I'm actually tremendously introverted. I love nothing more than being alone in my room by myself. I know that may seem a little contradictory to the fact that I'm a stand-up comedian and an actor, but, well, that's the truth. And one fear out of many that I have is the fear of being seen, the fear of transparency, the fear of putting myself out to the world and letting the world see me. Just a fear of saying the wrong thing, a fear of embarrassing myself, a fear of nobody giving a crap. And so about a year ago in November, I made a commitment to myself. I set a goal that I was going to put myself out there, quote unquote, by doing a podcast every single day where I really do nothing more than just talk about what's going on in my life and talk about my dreams and share my thoughts and opinions and my emotions, and to express those publicly to anybody who feels like giving a listen. And I've done pretty good. I haven't been perfect. I was pretty consistent. I didn't start missing days actually until just recently. But I pretty much did a podcast every single day for about the first 250 days or so. And it's only been in the last month or so that I've started to miss a day here or there. And I've already really started to try to recommit myself. I've been pretty good on my recommitment, except for yesterday. Yesterday was rough. I'm talking Wednesday, September 25th. Pretty much what had happened is I had drove back from Vegas on Tuesday, and then, Wednesday was just a very busy day, and I ended up getting a huge migraine again on Wednesday. And I also had a show Wednesday night, and the show, I don't like to be critical or negative, but it was just a really bad show. For so many reasons. And I was grateful to do it. The guy who produces it is a friend of mine. He's an awesome guy. And he's out there hustling and, put on this show, put a lot of work into it. Unfortunately, it just was not good. And we had almost no audience. It was at a brewery, which was just not a very ideal venue for comedy. It was, high ceilings, very spread out. We only had, I think, 8 or so audience members, and they were kind of scattered. The show format was just kind of weird. So, and on top of that, I have like this killer migraine. And so like, I don't even, I can barely even be present because my head is in so much pain. And then it's just really, really hard to be vulnerable and to do a stand-up comedy show and to really try to make, 6 or 7 people who are actually, all things considered, a good audience. They were there to have as best of a time as they could. And, grateful to them for showing up. Unfortunately, it wasn't really an ideal format for comedy. But I got home from that show and my migraine was just peaking and I could barely even move. And so I was laying in bed and I was like, I got to film the podcast, got to record the podcast. And my body just kind of seized up. And next thing I know, I woke up this morning. And so I didn't get a podcast out yesterday, but I am really trying to be vigilant to my goal to do a podcast once a day. So the magic of big thinking, of course, talks about setting goals. Really hard to argue with this one. I mean, setting goals, so important. And all right, here's what I've learned about setting goals. And by the way, this is totally like do as I say, not as I do. Because, again, this has always been a huge weakness of mine. I'm really good at the dream big. I'm really good at the visualizing. I'm really good at the, sort of the spiritual, emotional aspect of going for your dreams, the consistency, the persistence, the, pursue in spite of all failure, just go for it, get out and do it. But what I've always struggled with is the daily execution and setting a goal of daily execution and following through. As a comedian, it is so crucial to always be writing every day, writing new comedy every day, doing open mics every day, honing the craft, getting a little bit better every single day. And every goal I've ever set to try to challenge myself to be disciplined, I've just never done a good job at keeping goals day after day long term. I mean, even this podcast was supposed to be a daily goal, and now I've probably missed, probably 10 days. Which, in the long term, if I look at my goal was to do this for 365 days straight. So let's say once I get to 365 days, maybe I've missed 10 days or 15 days, the aggregate is still pretty good. And that is one thing that I have always tried to do with setting goals is do not turn misdemeanors into felonies. And I've said that so many times, but I do think that is really crucial. Set a goal, really go for it, give it your all, and if something happens, you miss a day, you slip up, you eat a piece of cake, whatever it is, don't let that turn into a felony. Don't let that turn into complete forfeiture. Don't let that turn into, I was going to do this for 365 days. I did it for 250, and then I missed a couple days, so now I'm just going to give up altogether. It's like, no. It's incredible that you did what you did already. So just keep going. And, there will come at the end of this year, I'll be able to look back and say, well, I wanted to do 365 days in a row of a podcast. I fell short of that, but I still did 365 days of a podcast. And I have, evidence to prove that. And I have a body of work, and I can look back and go, wow, look at all of this effort that I put into sharing my dreams and sharing my journey and talking through what I'm learning along the way. Or I could have gone, the first time I ever missed a day, well, might as well quit. My goal was 365 days. Every day I missed a day. Just quit and give up. And trust me, I've done the quit and give up so many times in my life as well. When it, comes to diets, or when it comes to exercise, or when it comes to writing practices. And, if I could go back and change one thing in my life, it's that I would just give myself so much more grace. And every goal that I ever set and, messed up the first time, if I could go back and just go like, yeah, you just missed one day. Just get back on the horse the next day. But what I have done so many times, unfortunately, is, I'd set the goal, miss a day, and then just go, well, screw it. All is lost. I knew I wouldn't do it anyway. All of the negative self-talk comes in, all of the head trash. And then next thing you know, you're 6 months, a year down the road, and you haven't done anything. So even with this podcast, I set the goal, do it every day. I haven't done it every day, but I am still doing it. And at the end of this year, I will be able to look back and go, oh yeah, I set out to do it every day. I missed a handful of days, but I still did it, and I'm still doing it, and I still have the work to show for it. So whatever that dream is, whatever it is you're going for, I'm a big fan of set the big dream, but then set whatever the next goal is to move you in the direction of that dream. And then go for it. Go for that goal. See how it goes. And give yourself so much grace when you stumble and fall, when you just don't have it in you, when you got the migraine, or maybe you're just feeling lazy, or maybe you're just feeling discouraged, or maybe you're just like, F it, I want a piece of cake tonight. Have the piece of cake, give yourself some grace, but then don't give up. And don't turn that little misdemeanor into a felony. Just go, cool, I had a piece of cake tonight. Tomorrow, back on the diet. No big deal. Try to look at the aggregate of how many times you have kept the goal versus the 1 or 2 times you didn't. It's really shocking to me how punitive I feel human beings can be, not only with ourselves. I mean, I don't want to get into a societal discussion here, but it's like you can do the right thing 100 times and then you mess up once and it's like, you know, you get thrown in jail for the rest of your life. I mean, it's probably a bad example. I mean, if like you murder somebody, it's like, yeah, you're going to jail for the rest of your life. But I don't know. I'm all about grace. Set the goal. Try hard. Do your best. When you fall short, give yourself some grace. Give yourself some love. And then keep going. And, you know, maybe just one day you'll hit that goal, you'll hit that dream, and you'll be able to look back and go, man, I'm really glad I didn't quit on my goals and my dreams just because I missed a couple of days here or there. All right, everybody, that's all for me for today. I will be in Vegas tomorrow. I will update all of you how the quarterfinals of the World Series of Comedy goes for me. I will let you know if I advance. So I will be competing in a comedy show with 7 other comics, and the top 3 will advance. So I've got to be the funniest, 42.5%, I think. I've got to be the funniest 42.5% of comics in the show tomorrow night. So I will be preparing for that. Hope it goes well. And I will catch you all up tomorrow. Until then, this is the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast, September 26, 2024, episode 280. I love you all so much. Thank you for listening. I hope your dreams are coming true. You're out there setting goals, pursuing them, and finding joy in the journey. All right, everybody. I will talk to you tomorrow.